Yes, yes, yes. And welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in today. We're here to speak Declan Rice to Chelsea. What is happening with that move? We're going to go through all the up-to-date information on that. More further developments have arisen this afternoon in relation to Alex Telles to Manchester United. The Dan James exit picks up a little bit of pace. And we'll touch on some other transfers, which are the ones that sort of tickling your pickle in relation to that as well. Hit the like button for us right about now. Really important to the channel that you do that for us. It really, really is. Like button, subscribe to the Football Terrace as well. Turn on your notifications so you know when we go live or when new content is released. And make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace clips. It's our brand new channel. It's where lots of clips go. Big Anita video coming out at 6 o'clock on that. So make sure you're subscribing. Just search Football Terrace clips. You'll find it. You'll be able to subscribe to it really easy. I hope we're all doing well. Let's jump into some of your live comments straight away. See what everybody's saying here. Matt Judge out. Yeah, I've been reading what Patrice Evra has said. We're going to go through that more this evening. You know what? When you get this information, it is damning. Patrice Evra has said that a major sporting director of a club contacted Patrice Evra to get in contact with Matt Judge to tell him to answer his phone. Mad. Absolute mad. And of course, we need context on that. But still, it isn't good what we're hearing from Patrice Evra. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Comment here says, Dan James, please stay. Nick, who's a West Ham fan, says Rice isn't going to Chelsea. That'll be one of the first stories we start on. I want to get some views and some opinions on that and see what everybody's thinking and feeling. I read an article today saying that Frank Lampard is still desperate to sign Declan Rice for £80 million, but he's rethinking his want to play him at centre-back and play him more in that defensive midfielder role. That's an interesting one because where and how does Declan Rice fit in? Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic. Which of those players is going to miss out? Who's going to be sold? You know, it's not even about missing out. One of them's got to be sold. I cannot imagine Declan Rice coming in and not one of those players leaving the club in some capacity. How is Loftus-Cheek going to get games? How is Barkley going to get games? These players are all on big money. These players are all going to sit there. It could become quite toxic if one of them doesn't move on. I want your views. I want your thoughts and opinions. But Declan Rice to Chelsea is still a deal that could happen. On top of that, I have to say this. I think Chelsea should pull out of Declan Rice deal. I think Chelsea should pull out of the Declan Rice deal. I'll tell you a little bit why later in relation to that. But call in. The Skype lines are open. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling, especially in relation to this transfer news today. A lot of them people saying, Jorginho, get him out, get him out, get him out, get him out. Quick clip here. Okay. I'm not interested in that comment. Let's do a good one here. Wow. Cody here says, made a live video for once. What's going on? So Cody, I appreciate one, you being a member, and two, joining us live on the air. It means a great deal. Thank you, my friend. What else are we saying here? Come on, put some good comments in, people. The comments are trash right now. Talk about the transfer deals. Give me some opinions instead of just writing absolute flannel at one another. Are you Lingard in disguise? Are you Lingard in disguise? Kai Havertz, are you Lingard in disguise? I like that. All right, we've got a call coming up here. Here's Matty. Matty's a Chelsea fan. Declan Rice to Chelsea, Matty. Do you think it will happen? And probably more importantly, do you want it to happen?
No. After what I
do me a favor. You've got a device on in the background. Could you turn that down for us, please, mate?
Sorry, mate. Yeah, basically, I don't think for 1 minute we're going to sign Declan Rice. And quite frankly, you know, after the performance I saw last night, we need decent players around us, man. I mean, you know, we need to get a goalkeeper. We need to get a decent goalkeeper and get rid of the one we've got. You know, we need to start. You know, I think Declan Rice, I think it's a pipe dream, to be quite honest with you. I mean, 70 million, 80 million pounds. We'd have been better off investing that in a goalkeeper, you know, rather than going for Mendy. I said it before in your last show. I mean, some of these Chelsea fans that have been on the Football Terrace the other day, need to be called out for some of their stuff, really. You know, we were outschooled tactically, physically, mentally by Liverpool, and they, credit where credit's due. You know, Liverpool played well. You know, this isn't me twerking for rivals. This is me being real. You know, we need to get some decent players. You know, it's all well and good spending 200 million on outfield players, but if you only got 17 million pound, 27 million pound goalkeeper to back it up, it ain't gonna work. You know, I mean,
I get. Listen, and I think you can get him cheaper than 80 million pounds, which is being quoted.
Yeah,
but I don't think Chelsea need another. They may need another outfield player in the longer tense. They've got too many players to integrate into this team now. We saw yesterday just adding 2 players into this Chelsea team has sent them backwards in terms of integration. That's why 2 games running, there's been an absolute. You guys have lacked any kind of coherent approach on the football pitch. You suddenly throw Thiago and Chilwell and Ziyech into that mix as well, and then throw a Declan Rice into that. I can't see it working for months. By then, the season's over. And I think that right now, the last thing Chelsea need to do is buy any more outfield players. I agree with you. Use that 80 million to buy Kepa out his contract. Like, seriously, he's atrocious. He's atrocious.
But I'm not twerking for DT right now, but DT was correct on your live stream yesterday. Frank Lampard has no identity. He's got no tactical knowledge. We're chopping and changing. Why was Mason Mount starting? We should have had Callum Hudson-Odoi on the wing. We need to start by looking to see tactically what's wrong with it. You know, it's all well and good buying these Kai Havertz and Timo Werner was the only player, in my opinion, that could hold his head up high yesterday. You know, we were shocking, and we can chop and chase and bring in big players as much as we like, but tactically, we need to start by bringing somebody in who knows who's a tactician on the pitch. You know, who knows. You know, who can say, right, okay, Lamps, you got it wrong, mate. You need to start by doing this. I think Declan Rice is the wrong option. I think, in my opinion, I'd love to see him back, but I think we need to start.
Mate, I agree with. I could not agree with you more. I think that this part. I mean, even I did as a football fan. I was like, wow, look at what Chelsea are doing in the window. All these players, and it was quite a few weeks went by, and then I started to think, yeah, but what about the gelling? You know, Chelsea fans told me, no, who does our business? We're going to buy players that will fit right in. This is going to come together quickly. You've only added 2 of your new players in, and it set you backwards. You're not playing. I disagree that you didn't have identity under Lampard. Last year, generally speaking, the football under Frank Lampard was silky. It was fluent. It was quick. It was attractive. And then suddenly, bang, it's this ugly, Sam Allardyce looking, no hope football. And your new signings are part of that problem. And that's a short term because they need to be gelled and integrated. You suddenly throw 4 or 5 more outfield players in to this mix. Chelsea are going to look an absolute mess. It's going to be a bunch of strangers trying to play with one another, not used to Lampard's system in the hardest league in the world. It looks like it could end up being a recipe for absolute disaster. It really, really does. Matt, thank you very much for your call. Appreciate it hugely. Man like Zane here says that London is red. It is at the moment. It is at the moment because at the end of the day, you're only as good as your last game and your last battle. And Arsenal slapped Chelsea the last time they played them. And Arsenal at the moment are a much better team than Chelsea. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. David is on the show with us now. David, what did you make of Matty's comments that you don't need Declan Rice, you need a goalkeeper, and that your team is lacking identity under Frank Lampard?
I don't think it's true. Wait, Terry, give me a second.
Oh God, he hung up, and somebody else was calling through. I'm waiting to see what David comes back and says because I'm genuinely intrigued by that. I'm genuinely intrigued about what he's going to say on this one. I'll wait for him to call back and have he say he's called back now. Hang on a sec. David, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Lovely. Yeah. So give me your thoughts.
I just think it's been really reactive. After watching the game back, Right. Yes, I know we didn't have any shots on goal, but there was a threat there. There was definitely a threat, and you could see it. My thing with what's currently going on is, one, our new signings haven't even come into the squad yet. And the ones that have, we all know they haven't gelled yet. We're trying to gel them in the wrong positions. So I'm not overly worried about it.
Mate, I don't disagree with what you've said in that, but that's my point. Why, again, I'm now reflecting. Hindsight's one of the most lucrative. It's the most lucrative commodity in the world. If you could bottle it and sell it ahead of time, you're a billionaire in a night. What I'm saying is that if you throw another outfield player into that system, as in Declan Rice, that's one more player that you have to integrate into a new system. I think it's going to take you back further. And I get the point. People are being slightly played out of position. I just think it's a dangerous move. Would you be using that Declan Rice money? Genuinely, I'd be using it right now to go and buy Kepa out of his contract, buy a better goalkeeper, break the bank for All Black. That's a much better use of that 80-odd million pounds that you've got set aside for Declan Rice. Because
Terry, trust me, I agree with you.
Because you've already got Jorginho, you've already got Kovacic, you've already got Kante. Like, Declan Rice is in the ballpark with those players anyway.
Yeah.
We've added Ches to the line. Ches, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Rice is needed. To be fair, I don't know. Jorginho does the same role as him. Kovacic doesn't. Kante, I wouldn't mind as a six, like as in box to box. I wouldn't mind as box to box. So I don't think it'd be a bad idea, and I think we have enough money to do that and still get a world class goalkeeper next season. I don't think it's either or.
What's your thoughts on the integration situation, though? Because your two big signings, your two best players you've signed, are looking right now the shadow of themselves as they were at Bayer Leverkusen and RB respectively, and that's understandable. That happens quite a bit. But if you then try and integrate another 4 or 5 outfield players at the same time, is not the risk that doing that could completely destabilize your season?
What I would say is that the two players you mentioned both had loads of seasons to make up them numbers and to establish themselves as first team quality players, world class potential players, in fact. So people judging them with 2 games, saying they don't fit in, like, what are they expecting? Like, for them to, like, obviously do well. I don't think Werner's had a bad start. I think Werner's been buttoned up by better players both matches, and Havertz hasn't been terrible. It's all been non-existent. So all I would say is the risk of us playing players together and gelling is high, but I think it's worth it, because against Liverpool, yesterday, I don't think with our first team quality that game would have been the same game, even without no gelling. I think quality is quality, no matter how you put it together.
I get where you're coming from with that. We'll come back to that point in a minute. Zane here of a super chat says, Terry, Ollie has no clue. That team is good enough to beat Palace. United fans making excuses for Ollie. Stop blaming the owners. Listen, we're not on that subject. We'll move on to that in a little bit. We are going to talk Dan James and Alex Telles, but listen, we know we're good enough to beat them. That's why we were angry that we didn't beat them. What I would say about Werner, though, we know how good he is. But look, man's had 2 games for Chelsea now and had 1 shot on target in 2 games. For a player of his quality, I don't think that is good enough for that. And that isn't because he isn't good enough. He's going to come good. He's going to progress. He's going to become better. I just think integration is key. I get your point. It's maybe worth taking the risk, but it is, as you say, a big risk. Viewers, you can call him. We are talking Dan James. We're talking Alex Telles as well. I want to ask you boys about this rival chat for a minute. Man United, according to Alex Crook on TalkSport today, he said that Dan James leaving to go to Leeds could happen. There is concrete interest and genuine interest from Leeds United in trying to take Dan James away from Manchester United. If you're a United fan right now, are you licking your lips at the prospect of Dan James leaving for a rumoured 12 to 15 million pounds?
How much are you signing for?
Between 15 and 18, but that hasn't all been paid, obviously, because you paid the deals in installments. So, yeah.
The thing is, I think for his career, it's the best move, because I feel like Bielsa understands that if you want to use Dan James, use him in a way where you use his pace to the maximum. I feel like Ollie sometimes kind of throws him on into his position and expects him to play like Martial, Rashford and so on. I just feel like that's not his game. So I feel like Bielsa would get more out of him.
Yeah. And to bounce with Dave's point and to bring a different argument, it could be said that this signing means you're definitely going to get Sancho and probably another winger with the money getting in for James. So on the flip side, you could look at it as you're now benefiting your squad because you're going to get a better replacement for James, and you're definitely probably going to get Sancho.
And you know what's interesting as well? You know, if Man United have put a bid in of say 90 before, formal or informal, and that's been rejected, if you get 10 million for James and 30 million for Lingard, that should give us the money to make them signings. Equally, maybe this is where about patience is key. Maybe, just maybe, Manchester United have been waiting for this Lingard thing that might have been bubbling for 2, 3, 4 weeks to go through and happen before making their formal bid. And someone said it in our group chat earlier, the Football Terrace group chat, that 2 weeks at this stage of the transfer window is a long time in terms of lots can happen. You know, look what happened with Liverpool. With the clicking of fingers, bang, out of nowhere, 2, nearly 3 players through the door. When this time last week, a lot of Liverpool fans were gearing themselves up for no more business. I just think, you know, if Dan James leaves and Jesse Lingard leaves, there is no chance in hell that United are not bringing somebody else in. I don't care how. Listen, everything Patrice Evra said today, I take it as credible as it can be. I get it. But we're not allowing those players to leave and not replacing them. It isn't happening. KJ, first of all, I'd love your thoughts on Dan James and Lingard leaving Manchester United. Give me your opinions, bro.
Moves that benefit both player and club. Personally, I feel that Jesse Lingard his time is up at United. It hasn't worked out for him, unfortunately. He's had his good moments. He's gave us great moments, winning, scoring goals in Carabao Cup final and FA Cup final. So he's played his part in the team, but it's time for him to move on for him as a person. And then also as Dan James, I just think, I've said it to you before, I just think the club is too much pressure for him to handle. I feel like he's a very limited player who can only be used in very specific situations. And if you're a Man United player, like, you have to be very versatile. I'm not saying you have to be the best footballer in the world, but you have to be versatile in the situation that you've been played in. And for me, Dan James can only be played in 1 or 2 specific situations, and it doesn't necessarily fit what we're trying to do as a team, unfortunately. So I think it'd be best for him to move on and get a career.
And what do you make of the sort of the notion if both leave? The rumor is for a combined 40 to 45 million pounds. Would you then could you imagine that happening and nobody else coming in?
Yes.
You can. Wow. Okay.
I can. Do I want it to happen? No. Do I think it will happen? No. But can I see it happening? Yes. I could see it happening because we sold Ronaldo and signed Overton and Valencia and them, man. So this is not in the realms of outside the realms of possibility. I would personally, if those two will get sold, I obviously would bring in Sancho anyway, but I would look to bring in everyone's gonna say, everyone knows I like ASM, but yeah, that ain't gonna happen. But like someone like Said Benrahma from Brentford, he has a bit more quality and a bit more about him than someone like Dan James. I think he'll be around the same price as a Dan James, maybe a bit more expensive.
My fear about Dan James leaving is if he leaves and goes to Leeds and starts to smash it, Ollie is in for one hell of a hiding from his detractors, because it will be, hang on, Bielsa can get Dan James suddenly looks brilliant. Do you get what I mean? I don't know if you saw it on Saturday. Holly's haters decided to go and find out how Angel Gomez got on in his debut in Portugal, and it's like, oh my god, he got 3 assists. See, we should have kept him. It's like, yeah, because he's better. Because he's better than Bruno, Pogba, and Van der Beek that were also playing in that game. That's my only fear about any of these players leaving, is them doing well elsewhere, because it's then used again as a stick to beat them over the head, like Ollie in the club of the head.
That's by the by with United in general. Like, it happens with everyone. As soon as people leave United and they start to do well, it's like, oh, you see, United should never got rid of them, and this is why United are crap. But you got to remember why we got rid of them in the first place. Revisionism when it comes to United is mad. Like it's like even like with the Chelsea boys, and how people like, you should never let go of Salah and De Bruyne. Well, they would not have been the players that they are now if they had stayed at Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely. It becomes almost it's it's elementary in many ways. Prime is with us as well. I had to mute you, Prime. I was getting a bit of background noise when you're moving around. What do you make of what Matt said, Prime, the Chelsea fan, that one, Frank Lampard has no identity at Chelsea, isn't getting this system and team to work. And then on my point, that maybe signing Declan Rice is just one too many new outfield players for this season. What's your opinions, mate?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can say that. But however, people were saying last season that our players that we had weren't good enough. We needed a better striker. We needed better creativity in midfield, better wide players. We needed a better centre-back. Yes, we need to upgrade on the goalkeeper situation. All Black is the preferred choice. However, that's
what?
He's muted for some reason.
Sorry, that's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen this window. I would love it to, but I don't think it will.
I hear that. What's your thoughts on Lampard having no identity?
Terry, can I bounce on this one?
Let Prime go first, mate. If Prime could bless us with less procrastination and an answer,
I think he does have an identity, but it's hard. It's hard when a lot of your players are out injured.
Exactly. Yeah, but Prime again. You've got to play the players in the right position.
No,
I agree with that.
Who's out injured? Who's out injured?
Terry, a lot of players.
Yeah. No. Name who's out injured. Name them.
Pulisic, Ziyech.
Yep.
Thiago Silva.
Yep.
Ben Chilwell.
Okay. So only one of last year's squad's out injured, and this team are not playing like they've ever played together before. Not an excuse in a month of Sundays. None.
Terry.
No.
Terry.
No.
No, Terry.
No. Dumb excuse. No.
What I'm saying is that we can all see where the problems are. In the first game, we all knew Loftus-Cheek was a massive problem in that system. He took out Loftus-Cheek, and suddenly we became better. How Mason Mount yesterday still playing 90 minutes of football, I don't know. Because I can see in the system that we were playing last year, he's not the type of winger we need. And I know you're going to say, oh yeah, Hudson-Odoi's got to do better in training and this, that, and the other. I'd rather be a bad trainer and a good performer than a good trainer and a bad performer.
So you're proving the guy right then, that Lampard isn't doing a good enough job with the players, that he has no identity.
I agree.
So you're actually agreeing then? We agree on what was said.
No, there's a system there. There's a system there. He just doesn't. I don't think he knows what he's doing right now.
So Lampard. So hang on. So what? Let me get this straight. Hang on. So Lampard's created a system that he doesn't know how to operate, but everyone else knows how to operate Lampard's system. Is that what we're saying?
No.
That's weird. That's weird.
What I'm saying is that the system is there. However, you need the right type of players in order for the system to work, and he's not playing them.
Your chef, what you about to say?
Yeah, what I was to say is like, what's Lampard supposed to do, right? So he plays Mount, obviously for obvious reasons. He trains well, and also he brings a lot to the team. He's not playing Hudson-Odoi because he does the opposite, in his opinion. So we can't go against that. The team cohesively is not playing great. Fitness is still accounting that. Also, new players added to the squad brings an element of uncertainty, which I get that as well. And we've got to embed the squad in properly together. Give it a few more weeks. And also, to Terry's point about the new signings all in one, I get it. 7, 8 players, Rice included. But the thing is, I'd rather long-term benefit and a short-term consequence if that means that in a few months' time, they're all going to gel and we're going to be banging and we end up third or fourth.
Okay.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I prefer that, in my opinion. Like, I'd rather us draw and lose and do this because we're playing players who are not supposed to be in a position just to cover. And then we add in Ziyech and Pulisic. You add Ziyech and Pulisic against Liverpool yesterday, that's a complete different game. Them through balls over the top are happening.
Yes.
The one was making.
Yes.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I agree with you, but here's the question, yeah? That is okay for you, man, yeah? Like, as a Chelsea fan, you're saying this. But as a rival, is it acceptable for us to do that? Because I've heard many people say United should have beat Crystal Palace, which we should have. And we should be doing everything now. But if you argue, this is the short-term pain we're going to have to go through for a long-term game, we get hit with, no, but you're Manchester United. You don't need to do that.
But difference is, good point. Difference is, you've been going through transition for longer than we have. This is our second season transition, whereas you've been trying it since Mourinho and Moyes. So that's why people are a little bit more scrutinise you more. With us, this is our first time ever of transitioning. And Prime and Dave will back me up.
That's
It's
not.
our
No,
first time ever.
It's not
hang
even
on.
that.
No, Chelsea transition about every 18 months when they sack a manager
No,
and go in a new direction.
We actually know. The point is we have a
Chaz,
long-term vision now.
Chaz, it's not even that. It's due to the fact that, you know, United last season had a better 11 than us. So they should be able to beat Crystal Palace.
Right. So, we're better than you last year. I thought you were better than us.
Yeah,
So
no.
you changed your tune.
You
changed your tune.
So you should be.
Ooh, change your tune, have we?
Greenwood,
Oh, you've changed your tune. We're better. So,
But Terry, on the real one, though, like, from perspective, we lost against Liverpool, the best team in Europe, arguably, and we only lost, I would say, stupid decisions and errors, which is true, right? You lost against a team which you should be beating. We shouldn't be beating Liverpool.
Mate. One sec. That's absolutely fair, but we're not talking Man United right now. We're talking about Chelsea. Let me just finish. Man United, from my point of view, I haven't mentioned this in that regard. How good or bad Man United are is completely irrelevant to the situation that Chelsea are in and whether they can integrate.
No, I know you're going to say that, but Casey asked me a question. He asked me whether or not we should be hit with the same bus as them, and I'm saying no.
In terms of expectations, you're talking about, right? If you're as big as us, then your expectations be as high. That's fair. I think I would say this. I get your point about short-term pain, long-term gain. What I'm not convinced about, and I know deep down inside Chelsea fans are not, if you have too much short-term pain, it's bye-bye Fat Boy Frank, because you know that's what your owner tried to do. We've got eye test on the stream now. Eye test. What do you want to say? What do you want to talk about, bro?
Fat Boy Frank.
No, I was going to talk about the Daniel James move, because I believe that if this transfer happens, I think it's going to open a lot of people's eyes to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because I believe when Daniel James goes to Leeds, I think he's going to kill it, because he's going to a team that has a fully functional system and he can easily slot in, because looking at him and the profile that he looks like he's going to fit the system, the Bielsa system.
So what you're saying is Dan James is actually a very good player. We've just got a bad manager that's making him look bad.
I don't think he's a bad player. I just don't think I think he's an okay player, and I think he will look better in a fully functional system.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you are seeing here is the first seeds being planted for the further Ollie agenda. If a player leaves and becomes good, it's all the people you can see. And by the way, that might be eye test. Every single fan, and you know who they are on YouTube, Twitter, that cases into Dan James. Watch as this exit comes nearer. They'll start to soften their emotions towards him. They'll start to talk positive about him. And then when he leaves, that's all in the hope that he kills it at the next club so they can see, told you Ollie was bad. Those are the same people saying the player's dead. If the player's dead, the player's dead. Why wouldn't they just admit they were wrong? I love it. I love this game.
I don't think he's dead. I think he's an okay player, but the system will make him look better. Let me use Liverpool as an example. Yeah. Look how Klopp's built this team. He never built this team by buying superstars. He just built this team by buying players that suits the system. Yeah. Yes. Look at how he transformed. Look how.
Wait, hold on a second.
Let him land, bro. Let him land.
2 seconds. Look how good Robertson looks. Look how Wijnaldum looks. Henderson. These weren't superstars before Klopp got them into the club, but he made them look better. Actually are. He's making them play levels above what they actually are, because he has a proper
eye test.
So Dave, let me have this because it's about my player already.
Okay.
So I name me the qualities of Dan James that aren't working at United but will work at Leeds.
Okay, I think in the pressing system that Bielsa operates, I think he's going to do very well in that pressing system, because he's fast. He has.
But don't we not press?
Not really.
We press, but I don't think we're good at it.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, cool. So you think you'll press better? Okay. Anything else?
Obviously, I think he's not going to be playing out of position like we do. We always play him on the right. When he was playing on the left, he actually looked okay in the beginning when he first came in. But so I think Bielsa will use him in a correct position. He's going to use him on the left, so he's able to cut inside and go in the outside. Because when I see him play on the left for Swansea, not so much at United, but for Swansea, I saw him being unpredictable. He could go inside, outside, and he's.
Do you want to know what's? Do you want to? I test. I'll help you help you out here. Where he'll look better at Leeds is for as good as Leeds are at pressing, for as entertaining as their attacking can be. When Leeds United play football the same as Swansea, every team Leeds play against, barring one or two maybe, will also attack them, meaning there is going to be space in behind for him to run in. When you're at Man United, most teams sit behind the ball. There's less space for you. Let me give you an example here. Ashley Young, when Man United signed him, for the previous 2 seasons as an attacking left-sided sort of winger inside forward for Aston Villa, he had the second highest chance creation levels in the league. And the season before we signed him, he had the number 1 level chances created in the league. He came to Man United, and the amount of chances he created in that opening season dropped by about 35-40%. And the biggest reason was because he didn't have as much space. Hello, what's wrong with your hair? Oh, you got a plait. Don't pull it out. Let me see.
Lady Freya, ladies and gentlemen.
You want to say hello? Say hello. Say hi. Hi. All right. You go out there. Daddy be 5 minutes. All right. Close that door for me, yeah? Yeah. Thank you, sweetheart. Yeah. So my point is, I think that I know. The reason is because suddenly everybody was attacking less Aston Villa. There was more space for him. You know, whether he was closed down before making his crosses a split second later, whether it was being doubled up upon. As soon as he went into a Man United shirt, he scored some goals, did well, but he never had anywhere near the same influence on a game because teams set up against you different. So for me, Dan James will improve, but it's because he'll have so much more time, space to be able to utilize his skills in, and that's the difference. And I think that's what will happen. But no one will look at it from that perspective. It will just simply be, see, Ollie couldn't train him. That's why he hasn't. That's why he couldn't do it here. And what we've just seen there with eye test, you're going to start to see that from all of Dan James's detractors. Same with Jesse Lingard. Same with Jesse Lingard. Look how nasty people have been about Lingard. Look how nasty they've been. If he goes to Tottenham and plays well, it will be see, Ollie destroyed him. The narrative's 100%. already there to be done. And it's predictable. It's predictable.
I test you. You mentioned about like players not fitting in systems and using players that fit into the system. Well, if we're getting rid of players that don't fit our system, surely that's a good thing and can no longer be held against our manager who's realised that they don't fit our system. Let me move them out and get someone who does. It's irrelevant or not. It's relevant or not. If they do well at another club because they fit their system well. It's about our system. Do they fit our system? And if they don't, same with Lukaku, same with all these players that we've left, same with Sanchez, they've got to go.
Oli has a system, but he's not good at it. He's not good at coaching it. I could tell he's just trying to pass from the back. I could clearly say, I could clearly see that we're trying to pass from the back. Yeah. We're not good at it. We're not good at it.
Do you know what, Ollie? Do you know what I'd say, boys? What I'll say before we end this stream is this. What I would say is this. See, if you want it, I'm playing devil's advocate here with this whole situation. I love seeing people's agendas in full force. Why couldn't it be looked at that it proves that Ollie's got that ruthless streak? 1 year after buying someone who hasn't delivered, he goes, right, you haven't fulfilled what we thought. I'm axing you now. Rather than doing what we did with Phil Jones, with Chris Smalling, with Ashley Young, with Valencia, and all these players who ended up getting 5-6 years longer at this club than they should have done. See, nobody that won't be addressed at all by Ollie. And this is what Neek said last night is so true. If you're Ollie in, Ollie can do no wrong and he can't be criticised. If you're Ollie out, you look to twist everything. I would do this, right? Go and tweet all the people you know that say that Lingard and Dan James are trash and ask them to confirm it, screenshot it, right? And wait for any one good performance, they leave Man United at another club. Watch them start to say, actually, the player was quite good. It was the system. I will bet you my bottom dollar that these people do it. We will see it because they do it all the time. The amount of times I've seen since he left. One second, let me finish. Look, what I've seen from people since Fellaini left. The amount of times I see people that used to slag him off go, we could well do with a Fellaini type player right now to lob it in the box too. But when he was here, nobody wanted him involved. It's because people don't actually know what they want. They're just angry and upset and they have their agendas against certain people. And I know it's a fact. We're going to see it. And I'm going to be able to sit back and bask in the glory of seeing these idiotic people make themselves look like dickheads all over again.
I don't think James is a great player. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think he's an okay player, yeah? And he will look better because his profile suits a Bielsa system.
Yes, and that's good, and that's good.
That's
That's good,
Yeah.
and that's good
I
for
think the
James.
issue is, yeah.
But
I
no,
think
no, no,
you're
wait,
kind of
wait,
making
wait.
nothing point into a negative.
Yeah,
It's not a
this is
negative.
what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
a good
it's not necessarily a bad thing that he fits the system.
where he fits the system. It's not about if Dan James goes away and becomes a better player. It's about, does he fit our system now? And if the answer is no, and you think he's rubbish for that, then he's
It's
got
what it
to.
is.
I test. Is your point that like even if you have players that don't fit your system in your squad, then you should try and get the best out of them? Like kind of what Klopp going to Liverpool with the players he had to utilize them. He didn't necessarily play his system, I guess, but he had to utilize them in the best way he could.
Klopp had a system that worked.
Yeah, but
That's why.
No, but my point is that he didn't play a false nine at Dortmund, but he came to Liverpool and played it because the strikers they had weren't of the quality enough that he could use them effectively. Is that not a point? No,
That makes sense, but I'm struggling to. I mean, the guy has gone out and barring Jordan Henderson, every other player in this, and I think Firmino was already there when he came in. But everybody else he's bought.
Literally, everyone goes on about how I test.
And Alisson, none of them were superstars.
No, but I test.
Who's Wijnaldum?
I test. How much did Klopp win without? I test. How much did Klopp win without the superstars? How much did he win without the superstars? Because before Van Dijk and Alisson and Fabinho, they haven't won anything. Regardless of what system you play, you need the players. And when you look at his starting team to now, he got rid of those players. Some of them come out better by leaving Liverpool? Of course they did. But that's because they didn't fit his system at the time. You can't be angry at Ollie for getting rid of a player who doesn't suit the system. You can't be.
Facts.
Like I said, Ollie has a system. I'm not denying that, but he's not good at coaching the system. Like I said, we're still not good at passing from the back, even though he's been 1.5 years. He's still not good at pressing.
I don't understand what and that's fine, guys. I'm stopping this, guys. Sorry, I'm stopping it. I'm stopping it because we've had this conversation before, and I respect everybody's opinions on it. No one's going to change. This isn't the point. Is are we right for getting rid of these two players? Yes or no? I test.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, yes or no?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It's amazing that two of the most maligned, attacked, and abused football players are looking like they're leaving, and someone like Itest is saying, "Yeah, probably all right to leave." That's weird. I reckon if Rashford was leaving, you'd be happier. Who's a better player than them?
Huh?
I think if Rashford was leaving, you'd be happier.
If Rashford was leaving,
I think you'd be happier.
I think we should upgrade on Rashford 100%.
But see, you're not sure whether Dan James should leave, but you're 100% sure we should upgrade on Rashford. Can anyone not notice the agenda there?
James should leave as well. James should leave as well.
Bro, I really do respect you because you say what you think, but does anyone else not find that weird? I don't know if Lingard or James is right for leaving. Rashford, yeah, get rid of Rashford. Rashford scored more goals last season than Lingard has done his whole career, and the man's 28.
I'll tell you why.
No, but to be fair, Terry, I think
Let me explain. Oli needs big players because he doesn't have a system that works. Yeah, so for Oli, he needs big world-class players so we can win. He can't work with a Lingard or James. Someone like a Bielsa or Klopp can work with a Lingard or James. He would make them look better because they have systems that work. So with Oli, I want these players to leave because Oli can't work with these players. I want Oli to get world-class players. I'm just trying to achieve players. A proper manager achieve with these players. A proper manager can.
If Bielsa and Poch and all these men that you prefer over Oli were at United, would you still want Dan James and Jesse Lingard there?
Obviously not. I believe they're much better with players.
See, so let's not argue. So I test. So let me ask you this question. So you have no real problem with our squad then? It's just the manager. Because if Dan James and Lingard are like good enough for a good manager to get good performances out of, then we don't need to buy much more then, in your opinion.
if Ollie's gonna stay as manager, 100%, we need.
No,
we need
that isn't my
world-class
question.
players for
Stop.
every position.
Stop talking. Answer my actual question.
They're
If
playing-
we got stop talking and answer my actual question. If Man United keep all this squad, Ollie's gone tomorrow, I can give you Bielsa, Poch, Nagelsmann, Klopp, any of them, anyone you want. If you bring in the best manager possible, is this squad good enough to get the performance levels out to meet your expectations as a Man United fan?
I think we'd play much better.
No,
football.
that is not my question.
would
I'm not
play-
letting you speak unless you answer my question. I'm really sorry to play it's my ball. But I'm just saying here, answer the question. Is the squad good enough? Is Dan James and Lingard good enough, even with a better manager? Yes or no?
To what? To what? Be specific.
What's your... Okay, let's go backtrack a second. What's your expectations for Man United as a Man United fan? What do you want us achieving?
Obviously, Champions League, Premier Leagues.
Cool.
That's what
you don't need to elaborate. That's fine. With this current squad, including players like Dan James and Jesse Lingard, even with Klopp as manager, with Pep as his assistant, and Fergie as the boot boy, right? Is this squad good enough to achieve your expectations with this manager? Yes or no?
Yes.
So, yes.
Let me explain first.
That's fine. I don't need you to explain. You don't need to explain. You saying yes makes sense. So what you're saying is we're only where we are because the manager isn't good enough.
Yes, and let me explain.
Cool.
Like
I don't need you to explain. It makes sense. I don't need you to explain. It makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't need an explanation.
Because the viewers are gonna be like, bro, this guy's crazy.
No. You just cannot come on here anymore and moan about any Man United players because you just said they're good enough to win the league. End the conversation, I test. End the conversation. End the conversation. You can't be good enough to win the league and still moan about them. It has to be the manager. And that's cool. All I want to hear you moan about is Ollie, not the players anymore. That's it. Done. Finished, I test. We've added Igal to the stream. Igal, what you saying, bro?
The hypocrisy. As a Man United fan, you're saying the team is good enough to win the league with another manager, but you're getting on Ollie. You guys are honestly, it make no sense. What the hell's going on, mate?
Mate,
this is the issue when you don't let me explain. People think I'm crazy now because you have to let me explain.
Why? And you just said you could win.
Brother, you had a soliloquy for how long? And you went in circles. You went in circles.
So people can understand. So can I?
Go then.
Okay, like I said, if I used the Klopp example earlier, Wijnaldum wasn't a superstar. Robertson wasn't a superstar. Henderson wasn't a superstar. But because they were in a system that works properly, yeah, they were able to achieve. Whoever thought Wijnaldum, Henderson,
Saeed, guys, one second. We'll come back to you. Saeed, I tweeted out asking everybody for what they think their ceilings are for the players. Saeed is either watching or someone's told him because he said 10 out of 10s for both. 10 out of 10 on ability, outputs and ceilings. I know what you're doing there, Saeed.
Whoever thought Henderson was good enough to win a Champions League? Robertson. By now, all these players.
Right.
Then,
So stop a second. Klopp did because he bought them, most of them. I have to mute your microphone, but barring two of these players, Klopp bought them in and kept the others for 3 or 4 years while he built them. So Jurgen Klopp, the man you're lauding, thought they were good enough. Everybody else that he inherited, he moved on. So I don't understand what you're saying. For me, I don't disagree. I think Jurgen Klopp would get more out of these players than Ollie is. Why? Because he's not proven at the same level as being a coach. That's obvious. But that doesn't mean Dan James, Pereira, Lingard, Phil Jones, Smalling, Lindegaard doesn't make these players good enough. But what you're doing, I test, is very obvious to anybody with half a brain cell. You're now bigging up these fringe players that might move on in a hope they do well where they go, so you can use them as another tool to beat Ollie with. It is pathetic because you have been on here, you ripping into these players about how bad they are, how crap they are, why they're still at the club. The manager you hate goes to sell them, which is what you want, and you go, how could I now spin this into another negative towards Ollie, even though he's doing what I want? You pathetic little boy. Pathetic.
Listen, we have world-class players already. We have Pogba, we have Martial, we have Bruno Fernandes, we have Donny van de Beek. Yeah, If you just
Calm down. They're not all
you
world
can
class. Calm down.
you can get away if you just have a Daniel James, maybe on the left, when you have a Paul Pogba, maybe with a Jesse Lingard as a roaming 10. If you have someone like a Klopp,
Jesse Lingard is really 10.
Listen, we've seen it with Liverpool. How many world-class players do they have? On a real.
You know what?
Before-
I
before-
understand
How
what
many of them
Man
were-
said
saying.
how
Jesse
many-
Lingard is roaming 10. I love
I
it.
understand what he's saying.
Oh,
But
Prime,
also,
Prime, you're
what
getting muted.
Klopp-
Prime, you're muted. I'm not. I understand what you're saying.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
No, Prime. Prime,
Yeah,
no.
Jerry, man didn't finish his point though. He said, but.
I mean, joking. Unmute yourself, Prime. I can't unmute on Skype. I just did it as a joke. But go on, Prime. Land your point. You've got the last point of the show, so make it good.
Also, what Klopp, did he not overhaul the vast majority of players in the Liverpool team?
Nearly all
So
of them.
you can say that you everything you're saying about this United team. If Klopp was to come in or Pep, they would still have to overhaul a lot of players in this team in order to win the Premier League or win the Champions League.
He just bought players to suit the system. How many of these players were over 50 million? Was Salah?
But I test you're saying that he bought players to fit the system and he sold the players that didn't fit the system. But that's exactly what we're doing, and you're upset.
You are very lost, bro. You are lost. Listen, someone get on the phone to the police. We got to find Itest mum. You lost your kid in the supermarket. He's wandering around chatting to grown men here. I don't even know what he's trying to say. Itest, we love you, bro. We love you. Honestly, bro, you are box office, bro. You are box office.
Itest, and the funny thing is, before they even won anything, Itest before Liverpool even won anything, they had to go and sign out these superstars. So you haven't signed any superstars. He hasn't overhauled the squad. Yeah, expect him to do the same thing that Klopp did. It don't make sense. It doesn't add up.
Bro, take this in. Does Dan James get into Chelsea, Man City, even Arsenal, Liverpool? No, he doesn't. It's embarrassing
The squad, no.
Let's be honest.
You would be saying the same, but by now, you would be saying the same thing.
There's a difference.
No.
There's a difference.
No.
Take it in.
No.
There's a difference. Henderson is the third best midfielder at his team. He's not the best.
Right, guys. Itest. Let me just say this to you. You mentioned Genie Wijnaldum. You have just exposed yourself again, Itest, and I'm sorry to do this to you, my friend. You come on here and pretend to be a connoisseur of European football. You always speak about this European player, this league. I watch that league, watch the other. And you have just disrespected Genie Wijnaldum, that was one of the most coveted, most written about, one of the highest prospects of a generation to come out of Holland. When Man United signed Memphis from PSV, the player that the Dutch said we should have signed, who was the best in that wonderfully talented young PSV team, was Genie. Genie Wijnaldum and Dutch football have been like this for years. He is so regarded in European football. It's unbelievable. Now you have to act like they just signed Mark Noble. Like, oh, you know what? Klopp just signed the Dutch Mark Noble and turned him into a superstar. Proves that you don't watch, read, listen to anything to do with European football one little bit.
He just said that Borussia Dortmund team that got to the Champions League final had no world-class players in it.
Itest, what was that Champions League final that Dortmund got into?
Anyway, guys, I'm ending the stream now because I've got to go. But listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care of yourselves. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.